Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and we have some football to talk about today. We've got Thursday night football later on tonight, so we'll be previewing that. But we've also got some news to break down. So why don't we go ahead, sit back, relax, sip our coffee, and enjoy the show. All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Harry Snowman. Good morning, Jess. Good morning, everyone on TikTok, everyone on Instagram, everyone on Facebook. We've got some football news to break down. Let's go ahead and do it. We'll start things off with a little bit of an update. Yesterday, we did talk about Deshaun Watson being done for the season and what that might mean for the rest of the team. At the time, it had not been announced who the starter would be, and so I just assumed they would keep rolling with PJ Walker as they had earlier in the season. But they are turning the reins over to Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Personally, I think that this is a great move. Like I say with Zach Wilson, like I say with Desmond Ridder, like I've said with Aiden O'Connell, I like the idea of just letting your young guy go out there and see what they've got and just betting on that person. We all know what PJ Walker's done in his career. We all do. And we know what he is. He's not getting any better. We could see some improvements from all of these young quarterbacks that are given opportunity. So I love the fact that the Browns are just betting on their defense and seeing what this young guy has before they move on and just rolling with PJ Walker. Like I feel like that using Dorian Thompson-Robinson is the highest upside move and really the best move for this team as a whole. That defense is keeping them together. So if you have this athletic quarterback like Dorian is, I think that he provides a lot for this offense. I think that he could end up being, at least better than PJ Walker, which is not a high bar to cross. Now, we do know in his only start this season, it was awful. It was terrible. It was a 52.8% completion percentage. He only had 121 pass yards. He scored no touchdowns, and he had 3 interceptions. Now, this was against the stingy Ravens defense, who is literally the number 1 defense in the league against quarterbacks. So it's, we'll see how it goes, right? I mean, I'm not expecting Dorian Thompson-Robinson to do even much better than he did against the Ravens against the Steelers this week. That's a very tough matchup in terms of the defensive line. Obviously, it's not much outside of TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, but still those guys are going to give DTR some problems. So I'm very, very curious to see how he can handle this going forward and what this Browns offense will look like as a whole. Again, I think this provides a lot more upside for the whole offense than PJ Walker does. And again, I'm still going to say Jerome Ford and, Dustin Hopkins are kind of the 2 unchanged Browns fantasy assets with this news. And we'll just have to see what wide receiver DTR likes. As we know, he has played football with Cedric Tillman all the way back in high school. That's a sort of, chemistry type of connection that could be unlocked potentially. But if I had to guess, it would still just probably mostly be David Njoku, Amari Cooper, maybe some Elijah Moore. But again, we will have to see. I'm very excited to see it. I love Dorian Thompson-Robinson. His hurdle back at UCLA is still one of my favorite just college football plays ever. It was just a really nice play by him. So again, I'm excited to see him play, and I'm excited to see what this means for the whole Browns. And again, I think that this provides much more ceiling for the whole offense. Oh, and if he's still available in your Superflex leagues, like if he didn't go, like if no one claimed him yesterday after this news, go ahead and do it. I actually put a pretty penny on him in Scott Fishbowl. Just because, you don't get quarterbacks that are going to be starting the rest of the season very often, especially these athletic quarterbacks who could provide a nice rushing floor. So, again, if he wasn't claimed, get him. Next up, we have some Mac Jones news. Reportedly, this is per a team source, Mac Jones has lost the Patriots locker room. This is obviously one of the worst things you want to hear about a quarterback, especially one that's already out there struggling. If his own players are not getting behind him, it's hard to imagine the rest of the team, including the front office, is able to get behind him. The way he's playing, the way he's commanding himself, it just seems like he's not going to be the franchise quarterback for the Patriots, and they're going to have to make some moves. They're playing terribly, so it's going to be very easy to replace Mac Jones. And I think he could probably get a shot somewhere else, but it is clear that he is not the quarterback that New England needs. They are really far away from that. And he's had now 3 different play callers in his tenure, and it's not worked out really with any of them. His rookie year, I guess, was okay, right? But it was also in comparison to a bunch of quarterbacks in their rookie season who were terrible. Davis Mills was the best rookie quarterback that year. So you can't even say Mac Jones was a good rookie quarterback, really, considering what happened since then, and the fact that, like I said, Davis Mills was better than him in his rookie season. So Mac Jones looking like his time in New England is done. Even the locker room is out on Mac Jones, and that's a huge, huge issue. Some other news. The Panthers are rolling back to Frank Reich being the play caller down in Carolina. He was the play caller the first 6 weeks, and then the last 3 weeks, he had let his offensive coordinator call the plays, and it just didn't work really well. Now, he did go on to say that the play calling reversal was not a significant change. He said that only about 10% of the offense might change, and the process will continue to be collaborative. I think this is just more, Frank Reich is coaching for his job. Let's be completely clear here. He is definitely on the hot seat, and everyone on the Panthers just has not looked right. And at the end of the day, that falls on the head coach. And so Frank Reich is taking matters into his own hands, calling the plays, not letting his offensive coordinator get any of the heat, and saying, you know what, it is me, and we'll see what we can do here. I do want to say, I feel like that this is mostly just good for Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen with Frank Reich calling the plays was much better than he had been recently. In his first 6 games of the season, he had 5 15-plus games. 4 of those were 20-plus pointers, and one of them was even a 30-point game from Adam Thielen, who had just been on fire when Reich was calling the plays. With Johnson calling the plays, he didn't have a single game over 15.2 points. It was like 15.2, less than 10, and then 10. So expect Adam Thielen to get worked into this offense a lot more than he had been the last few weeks, and potentially have himself a nice little rebound as a very good PPR fantasy football asset. So that's kind of the one takeaway I have there, is it's probably right back to Adam Thielen season. Next, yesterday I did talk a little bit about, who I felt should be MVP, of course, and it's still CJ Stroud, as we've been saying for weeks now. And I was like, you know what, if you want to throw $10 on and see what happens, that you should be good, but I didn't know what the odds were. I went out and found the MVP odds. So here's what everything is looking at right now. And I'm honestly surprised that this is how it shaped out. This is on DK Sportsbook. Jalen Hurts is number 1. Patrick Mahomes is 2. Lamar Jackson is 3. Tua is 4. Joe Burrow is 5. Christian McCaffrey is 6th. Brock Purdy is 7th. And then CJ Stroud all the way down at 8th best odds, with Jared Goff, Josh Allen, and Dak Prescott trailing just behind him. This means to me, by the way, the odds for CJ Stroud plus 2,000 odds for him to win MVP. Again, my case for him is just the fact that if we're going to value players towards the end of their career playing so well, i.e. Tom Brady, who won the MVP because, he had really good stats as a 40-year-old, I think we should say the same for a rookie quarterback. It is absolutely impressive what CJ Stroud has been doing as a rookie, with a defensive-minded head coach, with wide receivers that no one believed in going into this year, and a shoddy offensive line. And he's just killing it. So I do think that CJ Stroud deserves the MVP, and to see him at plus 2,000 right now is encouraging me to take the drive up to Chattanooga, Tennessee to play some bets on this, because that's a fun one to me, I think. Next, we talked about Michael Carter yesterday. I said hold on to him to see where he ends up signing. Michael Carter has signed with the Arizona Cardinals. What does this mean? Well, to me, it just means that Michael Carter is the best backup in the room. You can probably safely drop Amari DiMercado and probably Keontae Ingram. I think Michael Carter is pretty easily going to slot ahead of those guys just because of his skill set. And I think that he could end up earning himself a complementary role to James Conner. They are very similar running backs, but I think that Michael Carter could earn himself maybe a third down role, coming in if James Conner's a little bit tired, catching some passes, working out of the backfield, that kind of thing. And I do think he could be relevant. So in your deeper leagues, if he was dropped, I think you should pick him right back up just in case, right? I think that this is a good signing for the Cardinals and a good signing for him. I like it. I like it a lot, especially as we were watching this Cardinals offense kind of trend upwards with the return of Kyler Murray. I think Michael Carter could genuinely end up being a beneficiary of that, for sure. For sure. The other news we have, while sort of on the Jets, Robert Saleh came out and said that Aaron Rodgers will play if he wants to play. The quote, if Rodgers wants to play, he'll play. He's an adult. He can make his own decisions, essentially. Now, I have been in my heart feeling that Aaron Rodgers is trending towards playing. I think that a lot of these reports out there are true, that he wants to be able to play and that he thinks he could play here in a few weeks, at least return before the playoffs. However, knowing Aaron Rodgers, I guarantee he's not going to play. I guarantee that Aaron Rodgers is not going to play, and here's why. I believe that the Jets will be out of playoff contention within the next few weeks, and Aaron Rodgers isn't going to push himself to be back. Now, what I think he'll also say is, well, I would have come back if the Jets are still in the playoff hunt, but since they're not, I'm just going to focus on recovery. I'll be back in 2024. That is the most Aaron Rodgers thing possible, and that is definitely what I believe will happen. Now, if the Jets stay in playoff contention, I definitely assume Aaron Rodgers will come to play, but I don't think that's the case. In fact, I think it's so much the case that Aaron Rodgers will watch the Jets come out of playoff contention and just keep saying, oh, I would have if I could have, that kind of thing, which is just so Aaron Rodgers. But we'll see, right? We'll see. He can prove me wrong, but that's definitely my guess as to how this situation will go. Some other updates. We talked about Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, kind of this new backfield split, how Jahmyr Gibbs is looking like the 1A. He's getting these goal line carries, which is awesome, something we weren't expecting from him with the return of David Montgomery. Well, it has since come out, and Jahmyr Gibbs was the one who reported this. He confirmed that on Jahmyr Gibbs' 1-yard touchdown rush, David Montgomery was subbed in for that play. He was subbed in, and it was supposed to be David Montgomery getting that touchdown. But Monty went up to Gibbs and said, well, do you want it? And Gibbs said, yeah, I want this touchdown. And David Montgomery gave it to him. So, I think that means we can't read into too much of their usage last week. I think it's still very possible that David Montgomery has that short yardage role again and probably gets those goal line carries instead of Gibbs in future weeks. However, it is also very encouraging to see the camaraderie between these two running backs. If Monty is okay giving up touchdowns to Jahmyr Gibbs, then that's something special. That's something you don't see a lot. And so I would be excited if I'm a Jahmyr Gibbs owner that Monty said that and then acted upon that, and then Gibbs scored the touchdown. I think that shows that not only does Gibbs believe in himself, that the Lions believe in him, but so does his running back mate, David Montgomery, who's been in the league for years. I don't think that you have much of a better way of showing your trust in a fellow teammate than letting him score the touchdown that you would have scored. I mean, that's a whole nother level to me. So again, fantastic backfield duo going on in Detroit. Both are startable going forward, but definitely be cautious. Don't over extrapolate from this 1 week sample size. I do still think it's possible that in closer games, or not necessarily closer games, lower scoring games where they have to, try to run out the clock or something, or just ones where the Detroit Lions have run away with the game. I do believe that David Montgomery will be seen as the 1A in those types of game scripts. So again, don't over extrapolate 1 week sample size. It's very possible Jahmyr Gibbs still gets the Jahmyr Gibbs usage from a few weeks back, as opposed to last week where, of course, they scored 41 points. I mean, all of these players are going to be relevant. So just, again, don't get too excited, but get a little excited. Do get a little excited about it. Good stuff going on in Detroit. All right, and with that, with Pip singing right now, I'm going to play you guys a quick little ad break as I get him out of here. Check out Battle again.
Oh, I see it every day online, every single day. Hey, that looks like a great fantasy team in an 8-team league. Oh, wish I could be in a league with you, right? Well, guess what? Now you can respond with, sure, let's play on Battle. That's the beauty of this platform. This new Battle platform standardizes all position scoring. So you just load your team and you challenge your friend, your colleague, Twitter troll, and you can browse other teams and issue challenges. Battle is revolutionizing fantasy football. And with code Underworld, you get a $100 instant deposit match plus a free $10. So even if you deposit $20, you get $50. Think about that. So go to Battle.com. The code is Underworld. Battle.com. The code is Underworld. Or click a link in the description. It's fun to be right.
Guys, and I just posted a link down in the chat. I've been talking about it all week. We were trying to get people joining the Top Dog Dynasty Dogfight. That is a challenge over on Battle Fantasy, a free challenge where you could take on me, Matty Kiwu, Matt Babbage, and Seth Dewald, some of our favorite Dynasty teams, and seeing if you can come out on top again. It's free to play, and the link for that would be rewards.playerprofiler.com/top-dog DAWG. Again, free to play, and the person who has the most points by the end of the year total gets a signed Saquon Barkley jersey, so make sure you sign up for that challenge. It'll make me happy and the rest of everyone else that's competing in that challenge. And as I had to really quickly get the bird out of here, I have one final piece of news, and that is DeVon Achane. I'm sure everyone has been seeing this clip go around where a reporter had asked Mike McDaniel about DeVon Achane's health, and then Mike McDaniel says, "How much money do you have in fantasy football?" And I think that that's a very hilarious quip, but I think that that is being too overstated, because if you watch that full clip, Mike McDaniel says a lot about DeVon Achane, and it's cut out. It's cut out from that clip, and so I've watched the whole thing. I'm here to report it to you. Basically, what he said is DeVon Achane wants to play, but we have to see how he progresses. I'm not, like he said, basically, I'm a head coach, and I feel part of my job is to remain true to my players. So if DeVon Achane feels like he can play, I'll let him play, but I want to see it first. And then he went on to say, and it's important to note because DeVon Achane has been practicing all week. He has not missed a practice this week since the practice window was open. But he also went on to say that DeVon Achane in Monday's practice was untackleable. On Monday's practice. So the very first practice upon returning from the practice window being activated, DeVon Achane is already being untackleable. So that's really good news, which again leads me to believe that he will be activated ahead of the game against the Raiders. And if he isn't, he'll definitely be 100% the week after. But I think he's here, and I think he'll end up being activated. And I love that clip that we saw from Mike McDaniel. Some good tidbits here about the electric running back, DeVon Achane. And hey, guys, there's some electric running backs, or a electric running back in this game tonight. We have the Bengals heading to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. They've lost to the Texans last week. The Ravens lost to the Browns last week. So both of these teams are looking for a bounce back win. And I'm excited. This is probably the best Thursday night football game of the year outside of the Chiefs-Lions from week 1. This is going to be a good one. This really will. We've got, of course, the divisional matchup, which is always fun. But again, both of these teams fighting to, I mean, the Bengals in particular, they're out of the playoff hunt, right? Or not the hunt, the picture right now. They're not in the playoffs. They've got to get back into the wins and, finish the year off well. So both of these teams really a little worried, and they need to pick up these wins. So with that being said, we do know that T. Higgins is officially out as expected. We talked about that on Monday, but still he's officially out. So it's going to be Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Trent Irwin, and Tyler Boyd. And then on the Ravens side, really no one's out, but we do know that Keaton Mitchell is expected to see a little bit bigger of a role. The Ravens are favorited in this game by 3.5, and the over-under is 46. So they're expecting a decent bit of points to be scored, but not too many. Not too many. I will go crazy here, though. I know it's Thursday night football, and you should always pretty much bet the under, but I think that this could go over here. I really do think that we could start to see some fireworks. Both of these offenses playing with a chip on their shoulder makes me so excited. I am very excited for tonight's game, and I think there's going to be some fireworks. What we need to know, we'll start with the Ravens. The Ravens defense. So this is in regards to Bengals offensive players. The Ravens defense is first against quarterbacks, 12th against running backs, 10th against wide receivers, and 6th against tight ends. Again, showing how stingy this defense has been. Now, again, this is the Bengals, so I'm not too worried about how these teams rank up against that defense. I think Joe Burrow is still going to have a good game. I think Jamar Chase is, of course, still going to have a good game. They're just too talented to let defenses stop them to a high degree. Now, could we maybe see 250 passing yards instead of 300? Maybe. But still, I think that Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow especially will be fine. What I'm most curious about is who the second wide receiver could be. Last week it was Tyler Boyd and Trent Irwin. And with Andre Iosivas out again, it's probably going to be both of those guys again. Either one of those, probably a good DFS option. If I had to choose one, I would probably lean Irwin just because he's cheaper. But of course, I do think Tyler Boyd is going to have himself a good game. Like I said, I'm expecting some points to be scored. So if that's the case, everyone should basically be started here. I am worried, though, again, of Joe Mixon. He has just not looked good. And so what I'm watching in this game in particular is to see which running back gets worked in, especially in competitive game scripts. As it is a competitive game script, I just want to see who they're trusting the ball with, because we still haven't necessarily figured out who the backup is. It's looking like it's Travion Williams, but he's getting so little opportunity that I'm not quite sold on it. So we will have to see what goes on. But again, for the Bengals, let's just go Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, all of they still have at least their regular outing with a tiny bit of upside, depending on how this game script goes. On the other side, with the Ravens facing the Bengals, quarterbacks right against the quarterbacks, the Bengals defense is 20th, 16th against running back, 17th against wide receiver, and 31st against tight ends. So we're looking at a Mark Andrews game, which is generally the case in divisional matchups as these tight ends go off, but especially in this one. I'm feeling 2 touchdowns at least from Mark Andrews in this contest, and I think it's going to be exciting from him. And I think Lamar Jackson, the Bengals are only 20th against quarterbacks. I think Lamar Jackson could see himself a nice rebound here. He's actually 7-2 against the Bengals in his career, so he definitely has their number. And I'm expecting a lot of it to come on the ground, not necessarily in the air. I think we're going to see a lot of scrambles tonight from Lamar Jackson, and that's going to open up the field for the running backs. And so to get my take out there, as I know this is the question that everyone wants to know, should I start Gus Edwards? Should I start Keaton Mitchell? I think, to be honest, my answer would be both. I think you can start both in this game. Again, I firmly believe that Gus Edwards is not going to lose a single damn thing. I think Gus Edwards has his role locked down, and he's going to get it. He's going to get the early carries. He's going to get the short carries. He's going to get the goal line carries. That's what he's going to do. And Keaton Mitchell, I think, will probably get everything else. I don't think he only has 4 touches in this game. I think that we see true Keaton Mitchell usage in this one, and I think it's going to look good. So I think you can get away with starting both running backs. As if you watched The Mind of Mansion this week, you saw that Ian Hartitz pointed out that Gus Edwards is actually the RB4 in PPR over the last 4 weeks. I think he can keep that going. I think it's very easy for Gus Edwards to score a touchdown in this contest. And on the other side, I think it's very easy for Keaton Mitchell to get himself a ton of explosive runs and maybe even a few nice catches here and there. And so that's what I expect from the Ravens. I expect it to be Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, Gus Edwards, Keaton Mitchell on the ground, and maybe some sprinkles of another wide receiver like Zay Flowers and Odell. But I think their game plan is on the back of the run game and Mark Andrews. And lastly, my underdog and DraftKings tickets. This is what I've taken. Keaton Mitchell over 36.5 rush yards. Odell Beckham over 26.5 receiving yards. Gus Edwards lower than 46.5 rush yards. Again, I just don't think that Gus Edwards is a very efficient and good running back. I think he'll get some volume, but I feel like 46.5 rush yards is a lot to ask from him. I've got Mark Andrews scoring a touchdown, and I'm going with Jamar Chase, 11 or more targets. I think that one's a good one to bet on, especially with T. Higgins out. So these are the ones I've picked. As you guys know, I have struggled majorly with these parlays this year. I've only got one right, but still, I like these picks at least. I think they're good logic here. Odell Beckham in particular, he's been, showing signs of life over the last few weeks and hit this mark both times the last couple of weeks. So I think he can keep it going, especially in this game where I'm expecting a lot of points to be scored, the ball to be moved a lot. I think that really all of these hopefully should hit. We'll see though. And also my DraftKings lineup. This one I'm not feeling as confident in. It's the showdown captain mode is always so tough. The main thing that happens here is you've got to hit on the captain. And I know that we talked about the Bengals being decent against wide receivers and quarterbacks and really good against quarterbacks, but I still think Jamar Chase is just someone you have to start, especially PPR formats. And so I'm actually just throwing him into the captain spot. I think that that this game is going to come down to him. When you're looking at playoff type games with implications like this, the ball goes into the hands of your superstar. So look for Jamar Chase to see a ton of volume tonight, and that's why I'm making him my captain. I made Lamar Jackson next, as I expect him to get a ton done on the ground. I think Lamar Jackson's going to look good. Again, I think Mark Andrews is going to be the main target here, and I think Keaton Mitchell's going to be explosive. I think Odell Beckham's going to be open tonight, so he should see some volume, hopefully. And then lastly, I threw Tanner Hudson in as my cheap player, just because over the last 2 weeks, he's had at least 8 points in DraftKings scoring. And that's pretty good for 2.6K, especially in a game where I'm expecting a decent bit of points to be scored. He should be able to get himself in for a touchdown if the ball goes his way. So these are the players I've thrown into my DraftKings lineup. I'll let you know how it goes. So that is all I have for you in tonight's game and just the news in general. Let's check out the chat, see if you guys have any questions for me. Good morning, everyone. Picking up Rico Dowdle just to make Pollard sweat is a must. This is true. You bought both DTR and PJ on waivers overnight. Good job. Anthony says, as a Panthers fan, I approve Reich calling plays again. Whatever gets him fired sooner. Yeah, like I said, this is definitely just him coaching for his job thing, right? I think he likes Thomas Brown a lot and doesn't want it to fall on him. I kind of answered about my expectations of Keaton Mitchell, so that'll be that came before that. You're starting Keaton with full confidence. Yeah, might as well, right? Might as well. Pick 2 between Sutton, Singletary, or Nico. Looks like Nico's playing. So I think I'd go Nico and Sutton just because I think last week was kind of a surprise from Devin Singletary. I do think that Dameon Pierce will probably be back this week, but we'll have to see. If he's not back, then you can go Singletary over Sutton. Keaton Mitchell or Mixon tonight. You've probably got to go Mixon just in terms of process, but could be right. I mean, like, this is one where it's very scary. I just want to see more than 4 touches before Keaton Mitchell to where I'm going to throw him over a player like Joe Mixon. So yeah, good question here. Are you on the sell Achane train? No, not at all. I do see that a lot of player profilers, they're hammering this, but no, not at all. You don't sell a player that is that explosive attached to that kind of offense. You need a lot. You need a lot for him. And no one's really paying up for Achane. And even then, those paying up offers just aren't enough for me for the electricity that this guy has. I mean, he's literally the same weight as Jahmyr Gibbs in a better offense, and yet everyone wants to call him underweight, just absolutely dismissing the reports of him adding pounds this offseason and losing his track body. DeVon Achane is an NFL running back. And if we're going to get excited about players like Keaton Mitchell, Israel Labanakanda, then you have to be in love with DeVon Achane, and you can't sell an asset like that at all, at least not while he's not playing. Like, why would you sell low on DeVon Achane? There was a time where he was being argued as a top 3 dynasty running back, and we're so far removed from that why would you sell DeVon Achane now? Wait for him to return. Wait for him to show everyone how good he was, and then you can sell him if you really want to move on. But no, I've been a DeVon Achane believer all year. Literally, you can go watch my draft coverage video, like the Monday after draft weekend. I called DeVon Achane my biggest riser and one of my favorite running backs in this draft class. No, I can't move on from that guy. I can't do it at all. Let's see. Lastly, start 1 wide receiver, Devontae Smith, Ayuk, Tank. That's a lot of wide receivers to choose from. Let's go with Devontae Smith and Tank Dell, but maybe Brandon Ayuk. But I do like that Devontae Smith is going to be trending up with Dallas Goedert out. If you look at his games without Dallas Goedert, it was the best time of the year for him last year. So I think Devontae Smith is someone you've definitely got to start again. And I actually do see a good TikTok question before I sign off here. Would you trade Breece Hall and Devontae Smith for Justin Jefferson? I don't think so. I don't think I can do that at all. I really don't. That's a lot to give up. I love Justin Jefferson, but I feel like Breece Hall and Devontae Smith is way too close to call for me to say go get Justin Jefferson, because both those guys are just so good. All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This was the Wake and Take. You guys were yet again a fantastic audience. I will see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern on the Player Profiler YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We'll be talking a little bit about what happened in tonight's game. And of course, we'll be previewing Sunday's action, as there's a lot to break down. I'm not lying, guys. This show could have been an easy 20 more minutes if I started reporting on all the injury news I was reading, but I decided to save it for tomorrow when more evidence becomes clear. Don't want to jump the gun on a lot of these injury news, but there's a lot of them. There's a lot of injuries piling up this week, so we'll be discussing that tomorrow, as well as Thursday Night Football. So I hope to see you all then. You all have a terrific Thursday and a fantastic rest of your week. I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you, allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.